Franklin has always been a very active community in that we've had people who cared about one another, but they also cared about moving people forward.
Well, the things that I thought that were most critical that in my view is that I really believe that with those parents, those coaches, and just the infrastructure that existed at that time, they respected, appreciated, and wanted to be part of the Franklin family.
One of the things that I think that people don't realize is that this is a welcoming community that works together.
There was a relationship and an enjoyment that existed. We as parents, we didn't mind giving our kids to those coaches because we knew they were going to be taken care of.
One of the things that I was very big on was building a family atmosphere.
I just always liked the Franklin family. I thought Mr. Westfield, he took this town and brought it together. He was a guy that, to me, made a extremely diverse community. I think at one time there was 56 different languages spoken at our high school. And it was like the League of Nations to me. It was a great place to come to work. And Mr. Westfield, kind of brought it all together.
One of the things about Franklin that's so beautiful is its diversity. Some of our kids get up in the morning and they leave $600,000-$700,000 homes. Some of our kids get up in the morning and they do farm chores. And then some of our kids get up in the morning and they don't know where the next meal is coming from. But they all come together at Franklin. But when they get there, that's when they find the veins of commonality. And one of the veins of commonality, co-curricular.
I'm a warrior, man, I never run, never snitch. I'm a grown man, dog, I ain't no warrior. Won't change cause he rich before on my family, I line a dish. Warrior. Won't fold under pressure, you got his waiting in the hole if they test you. Warrior. A sacrifice at all if he has to react and think about it after.
I was at Franklin from the years of 95 to 1998. The team of the 95-96 team came together in the summer before the year. The camps that we went to, we seemed to bond as a group through those camps. And when we came into the season, we already knew our deficiencies. And we seemed to gel in that regard. A lot of times people think that you want to work towards people's strengths, and I think the best teams work away from their deficiencies. I think that's what made us a pretty cool team.
When we went to that camp in Delaware, it's just, we just had this camaraderie with everybody. We played well. I knew that was going to be an exciting season that year.
Well, when you go to the camps, you stay with your fellow teammates. And through those camps, you establish relationships. And the relationships are not just on the court, they're off the court as well. And I think that's what this team was all about. It wasn't just on the court relationships that we had. It was the off the court relationships which brought us together as a family and a pretty damn good team. We had some pretty good players, and through those good players, we developed good young men. We had guys who, when the chips were down, the other guys would bring them up, and when our good guys were down, our second team was just as good as our first team. And even during the practices, a lot of times our second team would beat the first team, and we would do a little bit more conditioning because of that. But because of things like that, I think that's what made us special.
had good players, athletic players. Our bench was deep. That was one of the important things that we had. You know, if Coach Finch seen that the starting five wasn't playing right, he'd sit everybody down and he'd bring in a new five, and you know, they'd get us back going and things like that. And we just had a bunch of guys, man, just play basketball and have fun. And those are things that, you know, I was glad to be part of.
The year before, we had made it to the finals of the section as well with good old Georgie Walton. And I thought because of you guys being on that team and the members of that team, there was a little taste there. And I think that taste wasn't fulfilled until we finished that year. A lot of our guys were always talking about it. You know, we want to get back there, we want to get back there. And I said, look, each game first, let's take it at baby steps. And we did. We did a great job. We had one little stumbling block during that year, but we really came back strong after that stumbling block. And that's why our record shows how well we did. I was in a lot of championship games, and I never felt good going into a championship game. I always had that little like, okay, did we get enough sleep? Did we eat well? All those things sometimes are part of the chemistry of an athlete that could mess up. And that day, everything seemed to be rolling well. We actually played a very, very good game that day. And it was one of those things to win it in Bridgewater was pretty cool, because Bridgewater was a terrific rivalry for us.
I was just happy to see my teammates happy, you know, winning the championship, you know, because with me, you know, I already had a championship in football, but I wanted to see my basketball teammate to experience that event.
And you look at the Star Ledger, you watch us in the rankings as we went up. I think we ended up 10th in the state that year, and that's back when St. Anthony's and St. Pat's were for real. They were big time teams.
Everybody flashing, fashion, designer clothes, lacing your click.
Seeing your name in the paper, you know, seeing your clippings or whatever, you know, your name heard over the PA system the next day saying, you know, we won a game, whatever, to, you know, even the community looked up to you, you know, it was like, you know, you're playing good ball, keep it up, you know, we're proud of you and things like that. You know, wherever you went, they knew who you was or what team you played for and things like that, and it was just a good feeling.
Well, if you're going to be a good athlete, it's going to take hard work. And you know, a lot of times you hear like families saying, "Oh, my kid's not having a good time." Well, life's not always a good time. I mean, you got to work to make your fun. I mean, there's going to be times where you get up in the morning and you say, you know what, I don't feel real good, but you still got to go to work. You know, I'm not having the greatest time, but I got to make my fun. And I think that's what life is all about. And I think that's what we did as a team. I mean, we had some characters with character on that team. I mean, you look at all those guys that played for us, and they were all interesting individuals, to say the least. But they were good guys. They weren't bad guys. They were good kids. They helped each other through all of the ups and downs. And I just always liked the Franklin family.
Imagine that.
I free all my sons. I love 'em, baby. Black diamonds and pearls.
Could it be if you could be mine, we both shine?
If I rule the world.
Still living for today.
You know, we had fun playing basketball. People used to come from all over the state to, you know, come watch us play. They know they was gonna, you know, see some, you know, dunking, things like that, just having fun, and people still talk about it, you know, to this day.
We'll walk right up to the sun. We won't land.
You love to hear the story, how the thugs live and worry. Duck down in car seats, heat's mandatory. Running from Jake, getting chased, hunger for papes. These are the breaks, many mistakes go down out of state. Wait.
I probably experienced the golden age of sports here in Franklin.
right.
A lot of teams did not want to play us,
There was some envy. I think there was some fear.
but fear from a standpoint was they were so good.
Those teams that liked competition and were looking for a good game knew that whatever sport you wanted to pick, whether it was football, whether it was basketball, whether it was track, whether it was soccer, they knew this was going to be a good game. I'll never forget, I was at a track meet. I think it was North Plainfield and some other team. We were coming around on the third leg, and you know, the other schools are getting excited because they were up front. And there was one parent who was there, and his daughter had run with some of the girls in Franklin. And I'll never forget, he told them, he said, you guys need to sit down and relax. He said, because Franklin is coming. And ironically, came around to the third leg, we got a little closer, and came to the fourth leg, and we beat them at the tape.
Mr. Wade asked me if, they were talking about canceling the boys' program in the spring of 1988. And he asked me if I could get somebody in a hurry. It was already in March. So I started thinking about it. And, I'm thinking about everybody but the right person. The right person was for me to apply for the job.
Coach Mack was a master of psychology. He would size up an individual and see how far he could push them. The way he worked with us, he knew each and every single athlete and what got under their skin in order to get the best potential out of them. Coach Mack knew that he could push, but when he saw that he pushed us and we stepped up to the challenge, he pushed some more, and he pushed some more. And for him to be able to know each and every single person and get the best out of all of them, using that psychology, that was genius.
That decade, that 10 years that I was here, we flat out dominated. We were good enough to win almost every other year. We won a state sectional championship, the Central Jersey Group 3 championship. We won 5 of those out of the 10 years.
I've always been the girls' head coach from 1980 until 1997.
Coach Sherrill is like a totally different approach. He just kind of had a softer side. He would just try to talk to us, even besides track, just our day-to-day living, conducting ourselves as ladies, even with the music that we listened to. He wanted to make sure that we were just wholesome girls, but when we went out on the track, like totally different story, just, blow everyone away.
What I've seen in the years of coaching here at Franklin, the changes that have come and gone, I've noticed that the teams had to learn what they were going to be about. Once the learning took place, the competitiveness was already in place. And from there, they just continued to get better and better.
He was an amazing coach. Great respect for us. We had respect for him. And you just wanted to really go out and do what you could to support your other teammates.
I think any time you put a championship program together, it's based on probably some tradition of track and field or whatever sport within a school district, and what you can get in terms of help from other coaches and a little bit of luck too. It depends on who the kids are that you have a chance to work with.
I even remember one time Tiffany was at a meet, she was throwing up, and Mac told her to get back out on the track, and Tiffany said okay, because he yelled it out. She said she got up and she ran, and we probably won. I don't remember, but that's just how we felt about the leadership. It was like, anything for the team.
In 96 and 97, the 96 year was really pivotal in getting some of these guys Reggie Garrett was one of them, okay? Brian Wallace, Eugene Hildebrand, to really, 96 was like the warm-up, if you will, for the championship.
When I first got there, even before I got there, I already knew about the reputation that the track team had.
Junior year was the defining moment where it clicked, where I said, you know what? I'm all in.
You already knew that you're going to put in some work, you're going to put in some time, you're going to put in some dedication.
If this is what I'm going to do, and this is who I am, when I come back next year, I got to go all in.
It was a big deal to be on that track team because it was such a good team for so many years.
We had two captains, Chris Holder, sprinter, Lee Horn, distance runner. Chris Holder was quiet. He led by example. His work ethic and his performance did all the talking. Lee Horn taught me that as a leader, you have to inspire the soldiers. You have to inspire the soldiers, not just with your performance, but by the things that you say that are going to keep them elevated. When Mac chose Eugene and I to be captains, he kind of paralleled their leadership from our junior year for when we were captains to our senior year.
When it came down to 97, at that point, he knew we were unstoppable. We knew we were unstoppable. We knew all the damage that we were going to do on that track when it came down to it.
The collection of all those athletes who came from all walks of life, different socioeconomic backgrounds, coming from a couple of different sports, and some who were true runners. I think it represented the Franklin community because of the traditions that people pulled in and because of the aspect of family. You cannot take away the family aspect when we talk about that track team.
Had layers to that team. All right, I'm gonna break down the layers.
Chris Harris was out for his first year. Overall in the state of New Jersey, he was third in the 400, ran 48 point out of the blocks. Long jump, if you get him clean on the board, he would jump 22 feet. Brian Carney, 22 feet. We had Brett Stenzlin in the pole vault. We had Eugene Hildebrand in the hurdles. You had Brian Wallace in the 800, and those guys would come back in the relay. So, we did well.
Reggie Garrett. Reggie Garrett didn't come out for track until his junior year.
Reggie was a what you call a coaching project. Coach Bird coached Reggie. There was a guy, I'm trying to think of Rick's last name, from Ridge, who helped Reggie. And I helped Reggie. I helped Reggie with his overall conditioning and running the intermediates, and adding my 2 cents into, but all intents and purposes, he was a self-made jumper. In fact, I was working with some hurdlers, and Coach Bird called me over in 96 and said, I want you to see this. They had the bar up at 6 or 6'2", and Reggie flew that over and flew over that by about 8 inches. And he says, what do you think of that, Coach? I said, you just saw a 7-foot jumper.
John Brown. John Brown was not a track athlete. He was an athlete, but he was able to set himself up to be a scorer in that state championship meet.
I guess every coach can look at a turning meet. Was John Brown in the javelin. He had put in some private sessions with a young man that I had known back in the day at Piscataway High School, Stuart Ralph. Stuart Ralph helped him, met with him 3 or 4 times, and took him, got his angle of release straightened out. He went from 158 to 185-foot javelin thrower, and was third in the Group 3 championships that day. And when I headed back to the track after the final, and Scott Bird was overseeing that, and I turned to Scott and said, don't tell the kids, but we just won this meet.
I remember from the distance side, like Dave DeVelder and Justin Miller and Neil Sinha.
Brian Carney in the 200 meters. We had Marcus Hamilton in the 100.
I remember Jim Dean, Willie B, everybody, Randy Ramdani, everybody who was a part of that squad, no matter what their role was or no matter how high of a level they performed at, I learned how to speak to everybody and how to be one of the leaders, but still have that common touch. That was what was important.
We won every meet that we entered where there was a team score. Both county relay and county individual meet, conference relay, conference individual meet, all of the dual meets, the Kearney relays, which was an invitational meet, and then we went on to win the Central Jersey meet, Central Jersey Group 3 meet, and then the Meet of Champions.
In the year 1997, when we won the championship, what made that year very special is that we won the championship for everything. So we were county champs, conference champs, and state champs, individually and as a team.
I ran mostly the 100, 200, and 400, but also had to run the relays, or I remember one time running the 800.
I ran everything from cross country, the 100, the 200, the 400, 400 hurdles, 100 hurdles, and the relays.
That year, Shantae and Jennifer were our captains, but Shantae definitely made us work hard.
They used to call me the father of the team, so I was a little bit more harsh and not very nurturing. So if I felt like somebody wasn't giving their full potential that I thought that they would give, I was a little tough.
And she was always pushing us and never let us give up, and even yelling sometimes, and sometimes we needed that.
The differences in our leadership styles really helped. We kind of balance each other. So I think our approaches to things were different, but some people need different things. So if somebody, some people need motivation or get the best motivation in different ways. So I think because our personalities were different, we were able to kind of balance each other, and hopefully we gave everybody on the team kind of what they needed to keep them motivated and get them going.
Jennifer had a different approach. She was very encouraging to us, just telling us that we could do it, just telling us that we were strong, and that we could just if we put our mind to it, we would all be able to meet the goals that we had.
Within the girls track program at that time, we tried to get everyone to understand leadership. Leadership is an ongoing process of influence over an individual, small body, large body of people. And we had to try to get them to understand it's a process. Processes are learned, processes are studied, and you have to buy in with commitment. You have to understand what it means to sweat blue and gold. You have to understand what it means to bleed blue and gold.
Watching Jennifer and Shantae in their 100 and 200 meter race, and just seeing how much they had worked to get there and how much they wanted to become state champs. And that, I think, was installed in us to continue after they left.
Starting out as a freshman, we ran with some really elite athletes that were upperclassmen, and Shantae and I came in as the only freshmen, and so it felt really good by the time we were seniors that we were like the elite athletes and then leading the team together, and we had kind of done that all 4 years together.
The 1997 team, the characteristic that I feel most contributed to our success, it was a family.
I think it was really special because of how close we were. We were all friends. I think that there was no superstars on that team, although there were a lot of superstars, like we had a lot of talent. But in terms of the attitude, we didn't have anybody that felt they were better than anyone else.
You have to understand that Franklin has a standard, and you come up to the level of the standard. You don't bring the standard down to your level.
We always pushed each other to continue and go hard. We worked hard, and it paid off.
We went into each race, each meet with the mindset that we would win, that we could win, and that if we worked together, we would just continue to win afterwards.
In my mind, it was just kind of what I was supposed to do or had to do was to excel.
Hard work pretty much pays off, and teamwork pays off, because I do believe that if we didn't cohesively work as a team, that we definitely we may have, but we wouldn't have been as successful as we were.
We loved what we did. We tried to also extend that love to the members, the family, as a team, and we wanted each one to also love each other. and be respectful and be honorable in all that they tried to do.
Franklin is a great success story.
We had so many families in Franklin that raised outstanding kids.
Franklin at the time was just an athletic powerhouse, and we just had so many strong athletic programs.
When I look at it from the bird's eye view, I had the best time I could possibly have. It was great here.
On the play. Let's take a look at the Franklin defense. Andelin, Sargent, One, and Kinley start up front. The linebackers will be very active today, and you'll see a lot out of Plummer and Evans. Whitaker and Green also help out on the outside. Solomon, Bourdine, and Stiles in the secondary.
I started at Franklin in September 1992, stayed there till June 2005. I coached, assistant coach for football and basketball, and taught science.
I started also, me and Bobby came over together from Staten Island. Same time frame, I was the head coach, I was the assistant athletic director, and I taught phys ed classes.
Franklin football is legendary to anybody that kind of grows up here.
My name is Darren Plummer. I was the captain of the 1996 championship football team.
Having the opportunity to grow up with the players that I played with, that meant a lot to me.
There are so many plays being made by so many dynamic players that if you got a chance to shine, oh, you took full advantage, trust me.
I love playing the special teams. I love playing kickoff. I love breaking up bodies on the football field. That's what I used to do. Phillipsburg game, I believe, when I first heard somebody shouting my name in the crowd. And as I heard the crowd just growing and growing and shouting my name, someone pointed to, like, tapped me on the shoulder, and it was like, Fred Rock, they shouting your name in the crowd. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not shouting my name. They got louder and louder, so it was undeniable. So I had to entertain the crowd, you know. So went down there, cracked a few skulls, you know. That's what I do.
The seed was planted for the 96 championship team after the 95 loss in the state championship game. I think there's a highlight that everybody remembers of one of the players saying, "We'll be back." And that was after the 95 season, and I think that the team, particularly the seniors that year, were motivated to make it back.
So coming into that senior year, that last year of, you know, playing high school football, for me it kind of felt like a trilogy in a movie, because my sophomore year we went to Giant Stadium and won. My junior year we went to Giant Stadium and played in the championship and lost. So now coming into my senior year, the feeling was that, you know, we're not going to lose.
I think we knew we had won in '94. We had made it to the final in '95, and we knew we had a lot of good players coming back with experience, but we both knew that we had some very good talent coming back for that '96 season.
The things that were special about that team, I don't think the list really stops. You know, from playing with each other since Pop Warner, through, you know, growing up as young men, you know, around Franklin and around the surrounding areas. And then really growing to be, you know, young men in this community that, you know, younger kids could look up to because we're doing the right things. All those things, you know, contributed to that team being special, you know, and that's, you know, looking outside of how talented we were. You know, we had, you know, Division I athletes all over the field. You know, guys that played their hearts out every down. People from different parts of the community that came together. You know, all those things made that, you know, 96 championship team very special.
The toughest thing about that season, to me, is more or less expectations.
We just missed winning the championship the year before, and the pressure of getting back was probably the biggest obstacle.
When you've made it to the championship 2 years in a row, that maybe you just feel you're going to get there again because of who you are.
We were in the home news and the Star Ledger. We were being talked about, and we had a little bit of a following.
Another big obstacle that we had to overcome right from the beginning, you know, losing Marlon Boston for the year.
The special thing about Marlon was that, you know, he had a great mind for football.
He was like having a coach on the field for me, being such a young guy and not having any varsity experience. He kind of like, listen, everything's gonna be okay. Just trust me. When I tell you to do this because that means it's coming. You know, and I used to lean on him as a younger player, as one of those older senior leaders to look, show me the way, show me the guidance, help me how to get there.
That was the first twist and turn in the road to our championship in a way, and it really did set a foundation that said, you know, somebody else does have to step up.
I guess that's why you see so few repeat champions, that maybe people get a little lazy, but that group definitely worked hard and had a commitment, not just to themselves, but to one another to make it back there.
When you're fighting to get back, and for us it would be the third year in a row, there might be a little bit of a letdown or a little bit of entitlement that we should be back.
There was a tremendous amount of momentum within the building. When you come into a high school where winning is the norm, winning is the expectation, you carry that with you into practice, into the weight room and your training.
We wanted to get back to the championship game. Personally, you know, I wanted to play at my best and wanted to perform at my best. And you know, probably most importantly, I just wanted to, you know, be a great teammate, you know, do my job to get the W.
As a team, it was great leadership. You know, all the way from the captain up, you know, to the coaching staff. I think you saw at least a level of dedication, you know, that rivaled any staff in the state.
Well, the coach's role and you know, coach's leadership were vital. You know, from Coach George to Coach Martin, you know, all the way down the line with all of our assistant coaches. They all played a role.
They provided creative game plans and creative plays. We were a run and shoot team. We did take some, you know, stabs down the field. You know, we had a a screen game.
I remember, our coaches in particular creating an atmosphere of competition and encouragement within that competition. So they would put up the opposing team's mascot or logo in our locker room as soon as we walked in on Monday. So the tone was set automatically that this is who our opponent is, and we're doing everything this week to beat that opponent.
The seniors played a big part in keeping me consistent, not letting me get too down on myself if I had a bad play, or just picking me up whenever I missed a tackle, or just being that positive person coming off to the sideline. It's tough when you're the youngest one out of the group, and you watch the people that you've played with for years go out and win a championship. That was one of the things that motivated me.
Contributing to that championship team, that meant the world to me. Coming from Franklin, it has a rich tradition in sports, rich tradition in football, and just to be able to, cement our year in that '96 year to win a championship, it kind of puts you in the record books with all those, other teams, other players that, we stood on the shoulders of.
There were many moments that season, but the ones that stick out would certainly be the night before the Phillipsburg game at the Chalk Talk in the auditorium, and then the carryover to that opening drive. And I can remember Coach saying to me over the phones, this is actually too easy. And it was a game that had a lot of build-up, but you could sense it certainly the night before and the morning of the game. And that is probably one of the more dominating performances we've seen on all three sides of the ball.
Go to the Sayreville game again, the way Reggie blocks the PAT to keep the score at 13-13 with a minute and change. Everybody is thinking it's going to overtime, and within 4 or 5 plays we're in the end zone already. And what a win, what a celebration there, standing room only crowd.
Just the joy and emotion, and then I think that was really a chance where everyone got to see what was inside of this team, the togetherness, the love, the commitment to team, and that was certainly a game that catapulted us right into the States that year.
We're going home on the bus. We found out it was not going to be Neptune, and that I think we kind of. It wouldn't have mattered either team, but I think we had that right then and there. I think we felt like we were going to be champs.
When we unloaded the bus and we got into the bubble at Giant Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
The opposing team, Hamilton West, right?
Had the radio playing.
They were in there partying, basically. Like you would have never known that they were about to play their biggest game ever.
Right.
And when we came in there, it was all business. It looked like a show, though. We went into our pregame routine like we were out at Ackerman Field, and I think they caught themselves watching. We caught them watching. From the moment that we stepped on that field, they were watching us instead of playing us. And they thought that this was a joke. And nothing made us more furious than the idea that these guys were gonna take us like that.
My favorite moment in that championship season, and it was kind of like a culmination of events. Every game, there would be a game captain that walked out with me. In the championship game, it was one where I walked out by myself. And before it happened, I wouldn't say nervous, but more in the moment that I usually am. The seniors were lined up behind me, and I kind of took a look back, and the crowd was, going crazy. So at that moment, and really all year, I just felt like a representative for a bunch of good people. You know, a town of great people, a team of great people.
His reaction after the coin toss was just so phenomenally great. But I mean, he just turns around with all of the emotion and energy that all of us needed to get through that game.
In that moment, that was really an honor for me to represent, you know, our seniors, our team, our town, and then to go out and, you know, get the championship was just, you know, icing on the cake.
The final, of course, was outstanding. You know, the interviews in the locker room, John Simeone, these guys getting interviewed. It was an incredible experience.
You know, getting back into that locker room, being with the guys, man, you know, saying state champ, kissing the trophy. You know, those are the times you don't forget, you know, and you know all that hard work you put in from the middle of the summer, beginning of the summer to the first weekend in December. You know, it was all worth it, you know, and you know, those are memories that you take with you for a lifetime.
I think what that team represented that year was it brought enormous pride to the community.
We represented the city, we represented Franklin, you know, so it's like when you wake up on the weekends and you hear that band playing, it's major. Like it was typically known as a football town, and to like be on the championship football team for Franklin, that's just major, you know. This is an undescribable feeling.
See this kick from Hamilton. Here comes the rush. It is blocked. The ball is loose at the 5-yard line. Picked up and into the end zone for a touchdown. Franklin scores first on a block punt.
Winning a championship connects you to that, you know, history. It connects you to those players that you looked at, you know, as a young kid going to the high school games and saying, I want to do that one day.
Franklin looking to add to their 6-0 lead. A handoff to the 10-5 touchdown.
Not just the fact that they won a sectional or won a state championship, but the way they did it in a selfless way. It was a commitment to team.
Hamilton the lone step back. Verona comes in motion. Two-step drop, one pump, underneath round complete. And leading to the end zone is Harris for a touchdown.
And then being able to do it at your best and win a championship, you know, just allows you to, you know, walk in a room when you see former football players, knowing that you know them and they know you, and why they know you and why you know them is it's an awesome feeling.
Can't be happier for a team like Franklin. So much spirit, so much work ethic, so much commitment from the players and from the coaching staff. This is a true family that we are watching here today celebrate their victory. And the celebration is on.
We really enjoyed repping our town. We really bled, you know, blue and gold. We loved being a warrior.
Look at the unselfishness we played with. It didn't matter if they asked you to switch positions. It didn't matter if you were the first player, if you were a starter, if you didn't get no plays. We were just an unselfish group of friends that wanted to go out, you know, and do something special.
Find out how you can contribute. Don't let it be about you. Make sure that you're thinking of everyone around you, because then that's going to in the end it's going to benefit you and also the teams.
You want to be good, you want to build championships, you have to put in the time. And that goes for anything that you do, whether it's your athletics, whether it's your books, whether it's just life. You got to put in your time. If you don't put in your time, you're not going to get your fullest potential out of it.
Hard work pays off, and that's just not just on the track or on the field or on the court, but in the classroom. So much of the lessons and all the experiences that I had back in high school are still helping me today. I think some of the work ethic and the training that we had and the team camaraderie are things that I've taken through college and now as an adult in a career.
And you're constantly trying to win another championship, no matter what you're doing, whether it's a promotion, you know, whether it's getting married or having a kid. I mean, you know, all of these things are big wins, and believe me, we learned how to celebrate them.
There's a tremendous legacy of gold that still runs through this building, this community, every day, and it's sort of like a current. I see it as a current. And at times that current is, you know, at a high pitch, and sometimes it's at a low pitch. But just for, I guess, younger athletes or student athletes now to know that that current is in you too.
When you put on that blue and gold, you got to remember that you represent something that's bigger than you. There's a tradition of excellence and a tradition of winning that was there before you, and your role is to keep that going.
One of those things that I want these kids to learn is to, you know, just go out there, you know, have fun. Don't take anything for granted, because you never know what can happen. Just, you know, do the right thing, you know. Seems like I'm sounding like my coaches, you know, back in the day.
I know today, still coaching today, that sometimes people, young players today are looking for the easy way out, the quick fix. You know, I can do this, I can do that, and all of a sudden we'll be a champion. There's no quick fix.
The message to current players or players to be is that's the approach you got to take. Nothing will be given to you. You're not entitled to anything.
It takes hard work, it takes dedication, it takes all of those characteristics.
You have to fully take advantage of what Franklin has to offer, and Franklin is a great place to establish that. You just gotta believe it, you gotta want it, and it will happen for you.
Your legacy is what you create. So the relationships with teammates, the accomplishments we had on the court, the field, the track, being able to keep and establish those relationships and those ties is your legacy, and it pushes you. It pushes you to, you know, be a good friend, still be a good teammate to all those people in your life that helped supported you and cheered you on.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid.
And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days, way back in the days.